Welcome to the ultimate kicking guide for combat sports. This video is made possible by today's sponsor, Vuori, and later we're going to talk about why this is my preferred training apparel. But first, let's talk about how to use this guide. Each kick will have its own segment, and we will go in order from simple to advanced, covering powerful kicks from Muay Thai and Taekwondo, including front kicks, both pushing and snapping variations, roundhouse kicks, again, snapping and that Muay Thai style roundhouse kick, side kicks, and even the rare techniques like hook kicks, axe kicks, and crescent kicks, as well as spinning, turning, and flying variations. If you're here for a specific kick, feel free to skip around using the glossary below, but what I'll tell you is that with each and every kick, not only will we cover proper technique, but you're also going to learn common mistakes, stretches to improve your flexibility for that specific kick, plus high-level tips and tricks to make each and every kick so much more dangerous for your opponents. So there's gold sprinkled throughout this video, but you'll have to watch the whole thing if you want to become rich with kicks. Now, before we jump into each individual kick, I want to share a helpful tip that's universal for all kicks. With every kick that you throw, the impact zone is based on range and angles. So you want to make sure that you get full extension in your leg after the point of impact. And this will ensure that you are following through and kicking through the target. Extending too early could lead to hyperextension or missing completely, while extending too late will lead to weak, jammed up kicks that will likely knock you off balance. That being said, we're going to jump into our first technique, which is going to be the front push kick. But before we cover the teep, let's get a proper warm-up in first. You've probably noticed that I never wear traditional Muay Thai shorts, and that's for a very specific reason. I'm picky about my training apparel. You've heard me say I like to look good and be dangerous, and Vuori helps me achieve exactly that. Whether I'm walking the dogs or teaching a Muay Thai class, I need activewear like these core shorts. What I love about these, besides how nice they fit, is the breathable boxer brief liner. It's perfect for high kicks, running, and keeping up with the pups. The Stratotech tee is super soft, moisture wicking, and lightweight, making it the ideal performance tee for training, but also nice enough to wear out on a casual date. And it's finally getting cooler out, so the Seaside pullover hoodie is perfect to keep warm when the sun goes down or help break a sweat before the intensity picks up. Vuori is designed for movement, built for life, and made with intention from fit to fabric. Earn some style points and move with confidence. Click the link in the description to visit the Vuori shop and grab a few pairs for yourself. All right, now let's throw some kicks. The push kick, or as it's known in Muay Thai, the teep. Very useful tool for creating distance, knocking people off balance. And if you have a good teep, you are a threat to just about anybody on the feet. And I consider this a simple technique because let's say your house is on fire, right, and your dog's inside. You got to kick down the front door. What do? Teep. Right, there you go. That's how you throw a good teep. But we can optimize it. We can make it better. All right. So I want you to think about this strike and all strikes, from punches to kicks, in 3 steps. You've got your chamber and your extension, your stick, and then you've got your rechamber. Okay, so when you throw this strike, of course it's going to be one fluid motion, but you want to make sure you're intentional about hitting all of those. So I chamber my knee to my chest. This brings my foot up high. Now I kick the door down. And I'm intentional with my stick of my leg, full extension out, and then I rechamber and I bring my knee back to my chest. That ensures good balance for my next follow-up shot. I've got different targets that I could hit. If I'm just aiming for center mass, then I'm probably just trying to push Bob back, okay? Think about if he's got a shirt off, he's sweaty. I don't want to slide off into his elbows, into his punches, so I want to make sure that I'm making good contact. Maybe not the stomach, maybe it's the chest, so I go a little bit higher. That's how I get someone top heavy, and they usually fall and land on their back if I time it correctly. I could go even higher than that and go teep to the face. I can hit the shoulders. I can pin the forearms. I can cradle the hip. I can go above the knee. And in traditional Muay Thai, I'm actually able to target the groin. That's legal. True story. That's why we have to wear steel cuffs. All right? But we've got different variations of the teeps, like the sliding or side teep, where my toes at a 45-degree angle using good range. And that's going to change what part of my foot I'm hitting with. Okay, so you can see here I'm hitting with the ball of my foot. That's if I'm trying to get a little bit more of a stab, a little bit more of that range. Whereas if I'm trying to knock him off balance, I'm trying to kick the door down, probably going to be flat foot. If I'm cradling the hip, probably going to be the arch of my foot, so it wraps around the hip. Some mistakes that people make when they do this is they keep their hands up, and not a bad thing, but you are going to get a little bit more leverage and hip pop if you swing the same side arm down. Now people will say, but now your head is vulnerable, right? Because you dropped your guard. If I make contact with Bob, there's no way he's hitting me with anything because I'm pushing him off balance. He's as long as my kick. I can keep my arm up a little bit so that I'm protecting my jaw with my shoulder, but I wouldn't have to worry about that. But yes, you can. You can absolutely keep your arms up, and I recommend that for when we do the snap kick in just a minute. The other thing is people are lazy with their retraction. So either they throw the kick and fall straight down, right? Or they're off balance here and they're tilted back too much, and it's easy for that leg to get caught and you're gonna fall over. So instead, I keep my upper body tall, and at the very last moment, then I lean my upper body back, but that's just so that I can pop my hips forward. Now, the most important part, he goes to reach for my leg here, I go no way, and I pull my knee back to my chest. So try to make sure that you're hitting all of those points, okay? Some stretches, simple one, hamstring stretch, right? That's where you're gonna feel it, that's what's gonna allow you to get a little bit higher. So all you're gonna do is a forward fold, start first with your knees bent, all right? Bring your chest towards your knees and see how far you can go. Can you touch your toes? Can you touch the ground? Can you go flat? Can you go knuckles to the ground? Okay, then you want to gradually start to straighten your legs out. So shake it out, give yourself another breath, and then we're going to go chest to our knees with straight legs now, if you can. Again, this is a gradual process, and with stretches, you got to be doing these multiple times a day. People say, Shane, how many times a week should I stretch? I say, as many times as you can. You watch TV, you're reading a book, you're on your phone, you should be stretching. You're at work, you're on the bus, you should be stretching. Fit it in when you can. Try to get your body warm or pay attention, but then you're doing things like this. And when I'm doing these stretches, I'm thinking about flexing my hamstring muscles. The muscles that we're stretching, I flex them, I bring the blood to them, and then I release. And when I release, I get a little deeper into that stretch, okay? The whole time, the most important part with stretching is breathing. Slow, intentional, deep inhales, slow, intentional, deep exhales. See how long you can stay there. Get past that point where it's not uncomfortable anymore, and then see if you can go a little bit deeper. That's how you're gonna get more flexible, okay? Let's talk about the next variation, which is gonna be the snapping front kick. Okay, we talked about the side teep, which makes contact with the ball of the foot, but that's still a push. I still bring my knee up, my foot high, and then I push out. With the snapping kick, the trajectory of the foot is direct to the target. So I don't go up and out. I go direct where I aim with my knee, and then I snap the kick, let's say hitting with the ball of the foot, boom, to the solar plexus or to the chin, boom, okay? So you want it to be direct. Think about your knee as the aimer, and then you extend your leg like you're on one of those leg extension machines at a big box fitness gym, right? Same thing. I want to see how quick I can, boom, extend my leg, pulling my toes back. It's essential. Everyone says, I always hurt my toes throwing these. You have to be able to make contact with the ball of the foot. And that's a skill, like this, to have the flexibility and mobility to pull the toes back. Look how much more range I get. That's about 4 or 5 inches. It's huge. It's huge in a fight. It's a difference of not hitting and hitting, or hitting deep and getting that knockout strike, boom, to the solar plexus, to the liver, to the chin, boom. A super useful, super dangerous tool. You want to get really good at this. Same thing with the hamstring stretch, and you also want to make sure that you're stretching your calf muscles. So you're going to lean on a wall, drive your heel to the ground, straighten your leg, and you should feel it in the calf muscles. Same thing, I flex the calf, and then I see if I can go even deeper. So I slide my foot back, and I drive the heel down, and I'll do that on both sides. Okay, similar to that, and we're going to use this to bridge into the roundhouse kick, is a toe kick. Now we're starting to see this more popular. A lot of the Japanese fighters are using this. Shaolin Campbell used this way back when, where you actually make contact with the toes. Yes, the toes, not the ball of the foot, the big toe, okay? So you have to learn how to properly stack your toes and create the spear shape. You have to condition your toes so that you're not hurting yourself. And you have to understand this is not a full send. Meaning when I throw a roundhouse kick, ready, I'm going boom, and I'm really trying to blast through that, the guard. I'm trying to break the forearms. I'm not doing that with this kick. This is a real simple, direct, snappy kick. Similar to the front snap kick, boom, that we see in Taekwondo, boom, okay? When I throw it to, let's say, the liver, I start to put a little angle on it. It can be straight up to the solar plexus, right? Boom, direct, boom. But if I'm starting to put this angle on it, now I'm starting to attack the liver, okay? Before we move on to roundhouse kicks, and I will say we do have a full video on toe kicks, so make sure you go watch that one if you want to learn more about that. Let's talk about a hopping variation to the front kick. When we start to establish our teep, our stabbing, snapping kicks, people are going to start to reach for them. They're going to want to catch that leg. That's perfect. Once I start to fake it not only does that set up punches, but it also sets up another kick. So the scissor front kick can go to the body or to the face. Let's start to get into the roundhouse kick now. Staying on trend with the snapping, we're going to talk about the Taekwondo style roundhouse kick first, and then we'll go into more of that Muay Thai style where you follow all the way through. So when I throw my roundhouse kick, again, similar to the snapping front kick, I think about being on that leg extension machine. I really want that fast extension of the leg so that I can get to the target faster. When I throw this kick, usually I'm going to the head. If I'm going to the body, I'm usually hitting with shin with the more traditional style Muay Thai kick. Let's talk about the difference. When I'm throwing a snap kick, instead of going wide, it's going to require more energy and it's going to take more time if I go like that. Sometimes I do that intentionally. Maybe I go across to the body and I see their guard is here and I come around it. It's a different kick. If I want a fast, snappy kick, I go knee up, extend out, rechamber, bring my knee back, and then back into position. Okay, so up, keeping my heel close to my butt, extend, bring my heel back to my butt, and back down. Okay, some common mistakes, just like we said, leaning back too early. This was something that really changed the way that I threw roundhouse kicks. I learned this from Ognian Topic, who when he was hosting a seminar, he told me, Shane, you keep leaning back way too early. When you throw your high kicks, you're like this. He's like, I know you have the flexibility, but what you're lacking is strength here in the side body. So keep your upper body tall. Boom, when you fire your kicks, now you're in position for your follow-up. And there's more in it. You're not dividing half of your energy that way and half this way. All of it's going this way. Boom. Okay? So now, let's get into the traditional Muay Thai style roundhouse kick. We usually have to take a setup step, either directly towards the target or even better on a slight angle. This is going to start to give me momentum to send the kick, turn my hips over, and get the power that I'm looking for. So my first step is take this initial setup step with my lead foot on a 45-degree angle. Now bring the rear knee straight up to the target. Most of us are going to go wide right off the bat. We're going to go like this. If you want a more effective kick, meaning it's going to require less energy, but it'll be faster, and you want it to look better, bring the knee straight up. And then as we extend into the kick, I'm going to swing my arm, I'm going to pivot on my support foot, and I have to get my hips through. The number one mistake that I see is that people keep their butt sticking out and they kick upwards like this. You're gonna kick someone's elbow if you do that. Once again, don't do this. I want my hips through. And the only way that's possible is if I give myself a good arm swing and I pivot on the support foot. Watch the difference. Still thinking about those 3 steps. I've got my extension, I've got my stick or my point of contact, and I've got my retraction, okay? So my extension, stick, retraction. Perfect balance as I land in a sturdy fight stance. So let's get a little bit more detailed. I think about my Dracula guard with my same side arm as my kick. So my right arm in this instance is gonna reach for the opposite shoulder. Elbow pointing forward, this protects my chin. Opposite hand reaches for the gun in the holster. As I start to lift my knee straight up, I'm going to initiate my arm swing, and I have to put a good whip on this. The faster I extend this arm, the faster the kick's gonna go, but that's also gonna be what helps pivot this support foot. And I want it facing that way. See how my toes are facing this way? I wanna be here by the time the kick lands. I chop my arm, so I think about taking the sweat from my shoulder and flinging it at Bob's face. The gun that was in the holster shoots the gun to the sky or combs my same side hair back, okay? Pivot on the support foot, and if I'm getting high on these kicks, like higher than the body, I'm going to the wrist line or shoulder line or to the head, then I'm bringing my body with me and I'm getting tall. Again, I want to keep my head over the support foot until the very last moment. Right before the point of impact, I lean back a little bit just to get more hip involved. I'm going to do that a little bit slower so you can see what I'm talking about. I stay tall. Notice my head stays over the support foot, and at the very last moment, I'll lean back and get a little bit more hip into it. Watch. Let's do it to the body. Knee comes straight up, swing the arm, lean back at the last second. You're going to get the energy going this way a little bit more. Okay? Common mistakes, no arm swing or doing the incorrect arm swing, kicking straight up, not turning the hips over. And then if you're going to a low kick, so same idea, same kick, but I'm going low, you don't want to be on the ball of your foot for that. Think low kick, I get low. I compress low. I do a quarter squat. I'm flat on my foot. I take that 45-degree step, and then I take my head offline, so I'm crunching my upper body to slip any incoming punches. So whether we're going low, body, or head, it's going to change the way this foot is positioned. The higher I go, the higher I want everything to go. The lower I go, the lower I want everything to go. Understand that the arm swing is essential for leverage on your kick. Don't think so much about, I'm going to get hit. If everything else is correct, if I'm taking my head offline, if I'm timing the kick correctly and I'm doing it at the correct range, he can't punch me anyway. If I can identify range, which is what we started with our Teep, then I should be able to long guard, which is what I'm doing. This is a tight guard, this is a long guard. And I'm using, look, a Dracula guard in my roundhouse kick to get to a long guard. I'm still extending my arm and blocking incoming punches here. What I don't want to see is you going like this. Bad kick, bad range, arm swinging way too far back, standing right in front of your opponent. That's bad. So understand the difference of the arm swing there, and you'll start to land more kicks. Okay, some variations with roundhouse kicks. We've got scissor roundhouse kicks. So I can go to the inside leg and use this to just touch and cause a distraction to hop up into that Taekwondo style roundhouse kick. And I call it Taekwondo, but you see this kick all the time used in Muay Thai. Sanchai likes this one, right? Touching the kick, going to the opposite side, snapping roundhouse kick. So again, call it what you will, call it a hybrid, but still try to work on leg extension. I think a lot of Muay Thai practitioners in the beginning think so much about the hip that you see this one a lot. They're like, yeah, I'm kicking through. If I do this on someone, they're gonna run right through this. Unless I'm doing like a knee shield on someone, I don't want my butt back. Look at all the breaks in the kinetic chain. My hips this way, my knees that way, my shins that way. That's no good. When I'm throwing low kicks, I want it to chop like an axe. Unless I'm trying to just cause a distraction, then I distract, bang. And the point of impact, like I said, is just past Bob's jaw or just past his ear so that I'm hitting him, boom, and going through the target. One last thing on roundhouse kicks is what part of the foot or shin do you hit with? Someone just sent me a text yesterday asking this. Ideally, I want to hit with the lower half of my shin, the talus bone, which connects the shin and the ankle, and the upper half of the foot is going to make contact a lot of the time. Okay? If I'm kicking to the head, oftentimes I land with the top of my foot. Hurts my foot like hell when it happens, but if I landed on someone clean, they're probably unconscious. But if I hit them with my shin, it doesn't hurt me nearly as much, and they're definitely unconscious. Sometimes the back of the foot, boom, smacks the back of the head. So then they get that motion. They're definitely KO'd at that point. If I'm kicking to the body, I don't want to hit with the top of my foot. I'm going to hyperextend my ankle. Oof, no good. Definitely shin on that one. Leg, same idea. Sometimes you'll see people hit with the foot, hurts my foot, especially if I'm kicking high to the hip. But if I'm kicking to the calf or above the knee, ideally I want to try to hit, boom, with my shin on those. Okay? Some stretches, you want to make sure that you get your hips really open for these kicks. So one that I like to do is I'll just from a standing position, grab my heel and pull up this way and feel the stretch. And I'll go in the opposite direction, this way here. And then I'll also just do butterfly stretch from seated. Butterfly stretch, you can flutter your knees like this, but ultimately you want to grab your toes. You want to drive your knees down, and you want to do this as a static hold. See how far you can push your knees down. Try to get them to touch the floor, and then hold it there. And again, we breathe, we flex, we relax, we get lower, we get deeper. Okay, we're going to talk more about different hip flexibility stretches as we move on, so let's go into the next kick. Next kick that we're going to do here is a crescent kick. I actually think this is a very simple kick, very underutilized, but the people who use it land it quite often. Okay, I've seen it in high-level professional matches, and I've seen it used by hobbyists in sparring. We've got two variations of the crescent kick. We've got the outside to inside, and then we've got the inside to outside. We're striking with different parts of the foot as we do that. So I have to articulate my foot accordingly. If I'm coming this way, I want to brace my ankle, so I turn my foot in like this. If I'm going out, I turn my foot this way. So watch, here's what I mean. If I'm coming across from the outside to inside, boom. If I'm going inside to outside, bang. Hitting with the blade edge versus the inside of the foot. Again, we've got our extension, we've got our stick, and we've got our retraction, but the stick on this one is a little bit different. Similar to like a hook punch, I don't stop here, I'm trying to follow through. When we've got kicks like this crescent kick, and next is gonna be the hook kick, I think about a window of impact. So I wanna try to minimize the window as much as possible. And the easiest way to explain this window is when I do like a spinning heel kick. I'm gonna extend my leg here, and then I'm gonna keep it extended to here, and then I'm gonna rechamber it, pull it back. So watch, when I do it, it's chambered, it's chambered, it's chambered, I extend, I keep it extended, I rechamber and back. It's the same on this. I keep it chambered to here, I extend it, and then I bring it down. Same going across this way, chambered, extension, and across there. With this kick, you can start off low, and then start to work your way up higher and higher. Some common mistakes are just hitting with the wrong part of the foot or keeping the foot loose and then hyperextending the ankle, okay? The good thing about hitting to the head with this is the neck has a lot of give. So if you do connect to the head, their head's probably gonna be a little bit more forgiving on your ankle, okay? At my gym, we don't kick to the face unless you can do it with control and stop. So if I'm ever practicing or throwing this on someone, I go here and I freeze. If you can't do that, I recommend not doing it in sparring unless you know proper etiquette at your gym, okay? Let's talk about different ways to open up the hips this way. So similar to this one, we could do this on the ground. So what I like to do is I'll straighten my legs out. I'm gonna take my foot and place it over top of the knee. So that knot that's on your ankle, go past your knee with that. The leg that's straight, bend that one in. Most of the time, this is a deep enough stretch for people, but what I like to do, if you can, is I'm gonna start to lean on this knee. And you're gonna feel a nice stretch on the IT band, on the glute, on the outside of your upper thigh. This is gonna provide a really nice stretch for these different crescent kicks that you're doing. Then you would just switch, go to the opposite side, fold the bottom leg, and then stretch the top leg, okay? Let's go to that hook kick because the turning or the wheel kick is like people's favorite kick. But if you can throw a traditional hook kick with the lead leg, all I have to do from there is just do this. I turn, and then I throw the hook kick. So let's do just the hook kick. If I'm standing southpaw on Bob, I'm gonna chamber my leg, I'm gonna extend it here, and as I do, I start to whip it across this way. Then I'll start my rechamber. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, again, keep my upper body tall over the sport leg. I'm gonna chamber my leg, extend here, get my hips through, and you'll notice I do this with my body. I get my butt all the way in, and that's what brings the leg across. Once I get to here, then I start my rechamber. Okay, so this is one that you can do where you're leaning on a wall. Right, I go here, I rechamber, and I can even grab my leg and just go across and rechamber, across and rechamber, across, and see how my hips get in a lot on that? So if I add a hop to it, I hop in. If I want to just add a turn to it, look, I go orthodox, I look over my shoulder, and now I just do that drill that we just did. If I do that one fluid motion, but the chamber and the rechamber is what's key there. Rip the leg across. We know we're gonna do that. Wait until the very last moment though. Chamber, 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 extend, go through the target, and then chamber and back down, okay? And that's one that we can do on either side. Okay, so different variations of that. The spin, that could be a jump, right? So I can add a hop into it if I'm trying to kick an apple off of Bob's head. We've got different variations there. Let's talk about some stretches to open up the hips. Bob, do you mind? Push over here real quick. So in Taekwondo, we're gonna do a lot of low lunges this way, then to the opposite side. I like to do Cossack squats where I stay low with my hips, and then I'll sit down. I'll bring this leg in. I'll do a stretch out to the side for the low back. I'll do a stretch to the knee, and then I'll do a stretch. When I reach for this leg, it's not just a hamstring stretch. I'm also taking my upper arm and stretching my side body. Remember how we talked about how it's the oblique muscles that allow us to stay tall on our kicks? That's what this is for here. So feel that stretch in the oblique, then we would go to the opposite side. Again, low back twist, knee, and then stretching the obliques on this side. From here, we're gonna open up all the way to a straddle stretch. I want you to work to try to get to a 180 position. If you can't do it, that's fine. But we're trying to get there more and more. Again, keep that growth mindset. I'm gonna go to my left and I'm gonna hold for 3 breaths. I'm gonna go forward for 3 breaths. I'm gonna go to the right for 3 breaths, and then I'm gonna go in. And when I say 3 breaths, I don't mean, I wanna try to take 10 seconds per breath. So watch, I go. And on the exhale, I get a little bit deeper. I do that 3 times, and I hit all different positions, okay? Now that we're nice and warmed up, let's do the axe kick. So the axe kick, if you can do the crescent kick, all you require is just a little bit more hamstring flexibility. I can do the inside to outside or the outside to inside. The idea is to get above the target and come crashing down. I can hit the head, I can hit the collarbone, and I'm looking to hit with my heel. But as I do it, this is something that I learned from Quad Kicker. You guys remember Micah Brock? Extend your foot out like this, not like this. This might give you a little bit more of that downward pressure, but you risk hitting with your Achilles tendon. You hide the tendon when you extend your foot forward, and it juts the heel out. It gives you a little bit more. So this is good for the heel kick, and it's good for the axe kick. And again, that was an outside to inside to outside. Looks like that. Collarbone is the most commonly broken bone in the human body. Attack it with the axe kick. Okay, let's talk about the back kick. Again, taking a lot of this from Micah Brock, Quad Kicker, one of the best kickers in the game. He taught me how to optimize the back kick. The back kick is not a side kick. The back kick is a back kick. It's a horse kick. It's a donkey kick. It's kicking like a mule. So I have to think about rubbing my knees together, keeping my heel close to my butt, and kicking straight back. And if I add that turn into it, look, it's just this. Turn, look over my shoulder, spot the target, bring my heel to my butt, rub my knees together, and extend out. It's the simplest way of thinking of the back kick. But when I combine all that together with a turn, I don't want to go wide. So I don't like using the word spin. I like using the word turn. So I turn, and now I keep everything in tight because it is a linear kick. Different than the wheel kick, which is round. This one goes like this. So I'm here, boom, and I kick straight back. If I want to jump to this, I get this motion, this motion. You see what I mean when I jump into the back kick? And on that note, I just realized we never did the side kick. We've got so many different variations. We've got sliding side kicks. We've got hopping side kicks. We've got stepping side kicks. We've got flying side kicks. But let's talk about the fundamentals here, and then you can explore. Again, taking what we started with, chamber, extension, rechamber are the 3 points of this kick. But when I do my initial chamber, I think about already pointing my heel at the target. This was borrowed from one of the best side kickers in the world, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He said, think about your side kick like a sword. I want to point the tip, the dangerous part of the sword, at him right away. Because if he steps in on me, you're still dangerous with a sword if the tip's facing this way. But if it's up here and the flat edge of the sword isn't facing him or is facing him, he jams me up, I can't hurt him. So I call this a low chamber. Knee comes as close to my chest as possible, face the heel at the target. Now, keeping the upper body tall until the very last moment, I extend my leg, boom, and then I tilt away to get my hips involved, and then I rechamber and come back down. When I practice this, in order to make sure I hit both chambers, the initial and the rechamber, is I do just that. I knee the opposite hand. So I go, hear that slap? Boom, okay? Then it's just a matter of extending your leg, keeping the upper body involved, and having a strong support leg. Boom. When you hit, you gotta hit with the heel. Boom. See how my leg is internally rotated. Toes are facing down. Pulling the toes back towards my shin is gonna make sure that I hit with the heel. This requires tons of practice. Most people are gonna hit with the ball of the foot and it's gonna be more of a side teep. What did we do in the beginning? We pushed. That's the difference of a push and broken rib KO winning the fight. Make sure that when you throw your side kicks, you're hitting with the heel. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to the Ultimate Kicking Guide. If you have any questions, let me know. I will always help you out in the chat. And make sure you check out Vuori if you're looking for some of the most durable, comfortable, best looking apparel out there.